Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing amazing today. In this video, we're diving into the latest updates about Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos. You don't want to miss this. So make sure to stay tuned till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The lights of Manhattan glittered beneath the apartment windows, but inside the penthouse, the silence was heavier than the city's roar. Mark Consuelos stood in the center of the living room, the hem of his jacket still trembling from the slam of the front door. Kelly Ripa's footsteps had faded down the hallway minutes earlier, but the echo of their argument still clung to the air like smoke. They rarely fought, and when they did, it usually ended with laughter, or someone cracking a joke, or Kelly rolling her eyes so hard it reset the world's balance. But this one felt different, deeper. The kind of disagreement that left both of them staring at the versions of themselves they didn't want to acknowledge. It had all begun over something small, ridiculously small. A scheduling conflict for an upcoming segment on their show. Mark wanted to rearrange interviews. Kelly insisted they keep the original lineup. But beneath the logistics was something raw and unspoken: exhaustion, pressure, and the strange challenge of working with the person you loved most. As the argument escalated, layers of old frustrations slipped out like threads being tugged loose. "You don't listen to me, Mark. And you don't trust me, Kel." Then, the final blow. "Maybe we need space." It was Kelly who said it, softly, hesitantly. But the words hit like a shove. Mark felt something inside him shift, an uncomfortable, dangerous cracking. Now, standing alone in the sudden quiet, he drew a long, shaking breath. Space. He didn't know whether she meant for an hour or a day or something larger. But he knew one truth: if he stayed in this apartment, he would replay every word until it consumed him. He grabbed his coat, slipped out the door, and stepped into the harsh cold of the night. A walk with no destination. Mark didn't have a specific direction in mind, he simply walked. Past the glowing canopies of Broadway theaters, past the late-night diners where waiters refilled coffee cups for people who didn't want to go home yet. Past a group of joggers who ran as if outrunning their own thoughts. He finally stopped at the edge of Central Park. Winter branches cracked under a thin veil of frost. The lamps cast halos on the path as Mark wandered deeper into the park. For the first time in years, he felt unmoored. He had built a life with Kelly. Every decision, every project, every adventure had been intertwined with hers. They had raised a family together. They had built careers side by side. They were partners in every sense. But tonight, something in the fabric of that partnership had ripped. He sat down on a bench, breath misting into the air. A deep, unsettling question rose inside him. Who am I without her? The thought almost made him laugh. He was a grown man, an actor, a father, a host. But his life had been so beautifully fused with Kelly's for so long that imagining himself solo felt like trying to remove a central piece of architecture without collapsing the whole building. As he pressed his palms together, he heard a sudden rustling to his right. A small dog, a terrier mix, darted out of the bushes, leash trailing behind him. He barked at Mark, almost accusingly. "Hey there, buddy," Mark murmured. "You lost." The dog hopped onto the bench beside him without hesitation, as if making the decision that Mark needed company more than he did. Mark chuckled despite himself. "You're bold." A young woman rushed down the path moments later, out of breath. "Oh my God. Pippin, I'm so sorry," he slipped out of his collar. Mark held out the leash. "He's a fast one." "Thank you," she said with relief. Then, studying him, she added, "Are you okay? You look like someone stole your favorite sweater." Mark raised an eyebrow. "That obvious?" "Only to someone who's also had those nights," she replied softly. "Walks help, but walking with no destination, that usually means something's changing." Her words hit him harder than expected. After she left with her dog, Mark remained on the bench a little longer. Her comment circled in his mind like a stubborn echo. Something's changing. But was the change happening to him, or was he the one who needed to create it? The decision that changed everything. By the time Mark returned home, the apartment was dim. Kelly wasn't in the living room, not in the kitchen, not in their bedroom, but a single lamp glowed in the small lounge overlooking the river, where she sat curled up on the couch, knees tucked beneath her chin. She looked up as he approached. Her eyes were tired, not from tears, but from thinking too long. "Hi," she whispered. Mark sat down beside her. "Hi." For a moment, they simply breathed. I didn't mean it, Kelly said finally. I didn't mean we need space, I was just frustrated. He took her hand. Maybe we do need space. Not from each other, but from everything else. She frowned. What do you mean? He squeezed her hand gently. We're always working, always performing, always being Kelly and Mark from TV. And maybe we've forgotten how to be Kelly and Mark from real life. She didn't respond immediately, but her eyes softened. We need a reset, he continued. Something big, something different, something that shakes us out of this routine before it swallows us. Kelly blinked. What are you suggesting? Mark exhaled, the idea forming fully for the first time as he spoke it aloud. I'm stepping away from the show. Kelly jerked her head up. What? I love working with you, he said. But right now, working together is blurring everything else. Our relationship is more important than any segment, any schedule, any ratings. I need to rediscover who I am outside the studio, for both of us. Kelly stared at him, stunned. Mark, that's huge. I know. But your career. My career will survive, but we might not, if we keep grinding ourselves down like this. She covered her mouth with her hand, overwhelmed. I didn't expect this. He smiled softly. Neither did I. The aftermath. News spread within days. Fans were shocked. Headlines exploded with speculation. But Mark avoided all of it. He had made his decision, and for the first time in months, he felt something unexpected. Relief. He let himself sleep in. He cooked breakfast. He walked through neighborhoods he hadn't visited in years. He rejoined a local boxing gym, something he used to love before life became a carousel of schedules. He even signed up for a creative writing class, an idea he'd secretly carried for years but never admitted aloud. Kelly watched him gradually come back to life, and each day, she seemed lighter too. One afternoon, while Mark was reading on the balcony, Kelly stepped outside and leaned against the railing. You seem different, she said. He looked up. Good different? A little too happy for someone who quit his job, she teased. He laughed. Turns out the world doesn't end when you make a scary decision. And us? She asked softly. Mark set his book aside and pulled her into his arms. We're stronger, because we chose us. She rested her head on his chest. It scared me, she admitted. All of it. I thought maybe the fight meant something worse. It meant we needed to change, he whispered. Not because we were breaking, but because we deserved better. She nodded, tears glimmering, not sad ones, grateful ones. A new beginning. Months later, Mark found himself standing in a community center gym, surrounded by folding chairs and neighbors holding styrofoam cups of coffee. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't televised. But he was giving a talk about resilience and creative reinvention. He looked out at the small crowd, took a breath, and began. Sometimes, he said, your life changes because you choose to change it. And sometimes, it changes because you're brave enough to walk away from something comfortable so you can return to something essential. In the back row, Kelly sat with her arms crossed, smiling proudly. After the event, she walked up to him and took his hand. I like this version of you. Me too, he admitted. And us. Even better. She leaned up to kiss him lightly. Then I'd say the quarrel was worth it. He laughed. Let's not make it a habit. No promises, she joked. They walked out of the gym, hand in hand, stepping into a future neither of them had planned, but both of them had chosen. A future where love wasn't lost or shaken by conflict, but strengthened by the courage to change. And that truly was the most shocking life change of all.